Absolute Sword Sense. By Hanjun Liulia. Chapter 7. Six Blood Valley. Part 1. The points that resembled the Big Dipper on the back of my hand were formed by blue flames. I was sure that these points somehow were related to the sword immortal. Come to think of it, even when Moyong-su tried to kill me with his sword, the blue flames were what shot up from my body and made me regress back 10 years. What secrets did it have for this to happen? At this time, no one would have been able to find the sword immortal, so if there was a chance, I need to look for it. It had already been an entire month since I'd been stuck in this moving wagon. Typically, we should have arrived in less than a week, but there was a delay along the way. From the sounds outside the wagon, it was probably bandits. At first glance, it seemed like the unit was arriving late back to the blood cult. Clack! The wagon door opened. A subtle light flowed inside, which made me close my eyes. All the boys and girls who were tied up began to tremble in fear. Shoo! The light that came into the wagon was covered by a person's shadow. It was Leader O. He had a scary face to look at. He seems to be hurt. It seems like I was in for a ride. But it didn't matter. After all, from here on out, Leader O wasn't the one in charge. Have we arrived? I don't see anything. The small short sword in my arms begged for me to take it out. No. It's stuffy here. Endure it. Taking the sword out would only bring more suspicion to me. This would obviously be a very awkward thing to happen to me. Leader O glanced at the others inside the carriage and shouted, "Come out right now." The boys and girls inside began to crawl out at his strong words. I was the first one to get out. As I left the wagon, I could see a space that was surrounded by large mountain peaks outside. I am here again after such a long time. The moment I saw this place, the sight of which was firmly seared in my mind, I could feel a chill run down my spine. Memories of the truly hellish time I had here came rushing back. This place was a hiding place for the blood cult known as the Six Blood Valley. A new home for the blood cult after the war. After being defeated by the Murim Alliance in the war, members of the blood cult had scattered all over the Central Plains. It was safe to say that they are operating as an information organization. So Wonhui. Leader O called me. Salute. I bowed my head to not bring in too much attention, and a low voice warned me. I will keep watching you. He was really suspicious of me. Meanwhile, the other girls and boys were dragged out of the wagon by force. Among them were Song Juabek and Song Wuhyun. The twins, still stunned from having their blood points sealed, looked angry. Grr. In addition to the wagon we rode in, there were two more wagons with children inside. Among them, one face caught my eye. Ah. The face was still young and beautiful, but it was someone I knew well. That girl had distinct concave facial features and was white as a sheet. No one would think that she, Dam Yewa, would be the disciple of the infamous Blood Witch. The Blood Witch was the sixth among the 7 blood stars. Dam Yewa possessed an innately cold body and was destined to become the Blood Witch's disciple. I am lucky. Someone like me ended up being a third-rate spy. It was hard to decide if I am lucky or not. Even being selected as a disciple happened without considering the disciple's will. See that? Leader O pointed his hand somewhere. There was a podium at where he was pointing to with a man in gray robes who stood with his back to us. I will give you 5 seconds. Run there. Everyone was hesitant at the sudden command to run and unsure what to do. But upon hearing the command, I immediately ran there. What? The twins who saw me run also began to run after me. I began to move faster, knowing what was coming. If you don't want to die, run. A loud voice shouted this from behind. Knowing that this would happen, I ran. Growling. The others, too, began to run behind me. I arrived at the podium first and knelt down on one knee. Oh. The man with his back to us seemed a bit curious at my reaction. In fact, this was part of the basic things which were taught to people after being brought here. Shit. What is this? Right. What are you doing here? The twins stood in stunned confusion for a moment before kneeling down like me. What I did was being followed by the others since I arrived first, and this was the right choice for them. The other children who rushed and looked at me and then did the same thing. It is the first time I am seeing this. The children began to turn anxious as what they had feared became a reality with his words. They can't run nor scream. I know what they were feeling a lot better than anyone else here. Then someone raised their hand. Ah. I sigh. Just like what happened 10 years ago, if there were a lot of people, there were bound to be those who couldn't understand their situation. What if we refuse? Again, it happened. As soon as he asked the question, a nearby sect member slammed his sword down on his head. The effect was immediate. No one could refuse, not unless they wanted to die. If you don't want to die, then don't speak. They will kill everyone here if they think killing is the right way to set an example. They are doing this because there are many left here. 2 people had died, but around 50 were still left. It was brutal but still an effective way to subdue the rest of them. Killing 2 wasn't a loss when compared to that. It is amazing that you endured like this. This is just the start. A blood parasite was a means to control the new recruit. The blood cult placed the bloodworm into the body before pushing the children into a hell-like training. They are then gradually transformed into loyal members of the sect. Now, who will accept this first? Gu Sangwon pointed to the wooden box. Everyone hesitated, even though they were scared. No one would willingly step up to touch that poisonous worm. Huh. Not knowing anything else, I knew there is no way to skip this event. I moved first, deciding that I should get something out of this. Again, everyone looked at me. I want that glory. Ah. As expected. When I walked up first, Gu Sangwon showed a satisfied expression. On the other hand, Leader O clearly still disliked me. He was still doubting me. Did he see any gaps in my acting? Shoo. I got up and picked up the blood parasite on my own with chopsticks and brought it to my face. The worm was wriggling between the chopsticks. Eat it. With water, it would be easy dash. Down it. I hate this. Shoo. The wriggling feeling inside my mouth. I hated this fucking sensation so much that I even asked for water. Gulp. As if the parasite was waiting, it moved down my throat and into my stomach. I wanted to frown at this foreign feeling of something sliding down my throat, but I tried to stay as calm as possible and raised my fist. Indeed, from the descendant who inherited the blood of the sect. See that? Gu Sangwon praised me or tried to as he looked at me with strange eyes. It's not just him. Anyone who had an affiliation with the blood cult looked at me. Why are you looking at, A sharp pain right in my chest. Something wrong seemed to be happening within my body. As I was in a strange state, the woman who stood next to the podium rushed to me. Why is his face this blue? Did the worm become pinched by the chopsticks? And no. He ate it down like normal. What they were saying was only throwing me into despair. Did I take the wrong blood parasite? The pain in my chest made it hard for me to breathe. Hook. It was burning inside. Shit. The female woman hastily placed her hands on my back. It seemed like she was injecting chi into my body to prevent the poison from spreading. Warm energy radiated from where her hands were. Quack. But something felt strange. The burning pain I felt in my chest was slowly going down. Down to the stomach. No. What is it? Is that side hurting? Miss. Wait for. Without even listening, she continued to infuse chi into me, and I tried to hold on but. Pung. Huh. The woman who infused chi into me hurriedly took off her hands and covered her nose. Pwah. And my short sword laughed like it would pass out. You. How unpleasant it must have been for this female leader. Her face turned red as she stared at me in disgust. I could say nothing as I had just farted right in front of her. Ah. I am done. But after the fart escaped me, the pain in my stomach subsided, and my stomach felt comfortable. Instead, I felt energized. What is this? Chapter 8. 6 Blood Valley. Part 2. Thanks to the sudden fart, I was humiliated. Short Sword was teasing me by saying I am good for a boring person, but it's still quite disturbing. The humiliation was also short-lived. It is strange. What is strange? You farting? Pwahahaha. Huh, not that. Then what? The pain has completely stopped. Good. I was worried for you. Worried? Of course. We are destined partners. Anyway, I won't feel different even if we're not that. Funny, I'd rather trust a bug over you, but it isn't that. Something feels different. What? What should I say? There is no sense of incongruity. I feel refreshed. It was like that in my previous life. After accepting the blood parasite, there was this peculiar feeling within me. A worm the size of a finger would wiggle inside my body. It's something difficult to adapt to at first. Ugh. I could tell by looking at those who have eaten their bloodworms and returned to their places. The twins, too, were grabbing onto their chests with disgusted expressions. You mean you aren't like them? Isn't that because you were used to it? Not at all. It wasn't something that someone can get used to. Surprisingly, it was shocking that my body even felt this nice despite still adjusting to it. No. Was there something wrong with the blood parasite in my body? Actually, there was a simple way to answer it. What is that? I can stimulate internal chi to check the blood parasite. If you do that. It was then. Quack. Song Juabek, who sat next to me, convulsed as he collapsed. Shocked, Song Woohyun grabbed his older twin. Hyung, brother. Hyung. I clicked my tongue while looking at them. If you tried to control the blood parasite with their chi, the worm inside would run wild. Then it would make you hurt to the point of fainting. Unless one was an expert at controlling internal chi and can control it in their blood, this was a shortcut to death. Gu Sangwoo, who was on the podium, pointed to Song Juabek and said, "See that? That happens if you try to control the blood parasite with your stupid tricks. Do you understand?" Yes. All the kids who heard his words answered him immediately. Yes. At that sight, Gu Sangwoo smiled. Maybe it was because I had set an example. It's not my intention to help them, but I wanted to do something to reduce the sacrifice that would end up happening. What? Is your purpose to look good to them? Right. I had no intention of ending as some third-rate spy here. I wanted to rise up in rank and pay respects to those who toyed with my life. To do that, I had to prove that I'm not some card which can be tossed away but a hidden card they had no choice but to use. When everyone was done eating the blood parasite, Gu Sangwoo, the commander, took out a small nail-sized ball. See this? That was the life pill. If you don't take the life pill in my hand once every 12 hours, you die. After hearing that, the faces of the kids immediately darkened. The only way the blood sect could continue its legacy after its defeat by the Murim Alliance was to increase the number of people under its banner. This was the most effective way. If you don't take the pill for 12 hours, the parasite within your body would feed on your heart. There are 4 balls in the bottle you will be given now. If the supply of the life pill isn't carried out promptly, the consequences will be immediately obvious. Gu Sangwoo looked at the corpses and rags in front of the podium, and I could see everyone around me feel their despair rising from within. I envy him. Why? Does he get an upper rank? Yeah. It was confirmed. On the surface, they might look sloppy, but they were quite skillful. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten the famous nickname of the White and Black Swift Swords. I remembered that their skills were something that definitely got recognized. After half an hour, all the trainees entered the cave. It was now my turn. Wait. But I wasn't allowed to go in right away. A middle-rank warrior continued to ask me to wait before finally letting me go in. Well, I will find out what they prepared. Step. The cave was lit with torches. In this cave, one person stayed to grasp each trainee's qualities and skills. The leader who entered the middle cave is called Heijayam. He was known to have a generous personality compared to the other leaders. However, a completely unexpected person was waiting for me instead. The man appeared to be in his late 30s and had a mustache and an eye patch. No Songgu. So this is what you did. So that was the reason why Leader O looked happy. No Songgu looked much younger than when I first met him in the past. However, rather than feeling pleased, I instead hated this situation. It was at that moment. Pa. No Songgu flew like a weapon and grabbed me by the neck. Quack. There was no way to escape. I couldn't even comprehend how a person can be this fast. Ugh. As if you can handle this. Get me out. Short Sword shouted at me to get it out, but even if I unsheathed it, it couldn't handle this person. No Songgu was a senior warrior, an expert. Even if I took the sword's help, my body couldn't keep up with this man's movement. Pack. No Songgu kicked my leg, and I proceeded to fall. Tuck. Quack. It felt like my back was breaking. SRNG. At that time, he drew his blade out and aimed it at me as he spoke in a voice of anger. You said your maternal grandfather was one of my father's subordinates? Yes. He pushed the blade slightly against my neck as soon as I said it. Ack. What are you doing? Are you trying to kill me? At my question, he replied. Huh. You were the one who wanted to die. Did you think that I, as a member of the squad, wouldn't remember the people I had trained with? I was at a loss for words. I was losing it. Puck. Quack. No Songgu grunted through his teeth. What is your true identity? If I didn't speak the truth, I would die right here. My heart was pounding. Badump. What did I think about when I tried to run with this plan? Was it because I already died once? Pack. I grabbed his blade and spoke to him, not caring if the sword cuts into my hand. Let's make a fair deal. What? No Songgu's eyebrows rose at my words. Chapter 9. 6 Blood Valley. Part 3. Deal? Huh. No Songgu, the Blood Wolf leader, responded to my suggestion like it was ridiculous. In fact, it was he who was taking the initiative, but it probably seemed like an idiot's move to try and make a deal right now. You must be out of your mind. I am sane. Actually, I was out of my mind. As No Songgu's hand pushed his blade ahead, my body and mind still felt fine. What could I not say in this state? I mean it, sincerely. Pack. Quack. No Songgu stepped on my chest. Man, he was as relentless as much as I still feared the blood cult. No matter how hard he stepped on me, my words still managed to come out. I shouldn't just kill you. Right. If you want to prolong your life even a little more, you will have to speak your purpose for using my father's name and trying to get a place in the sect. Clench. No Songgu pushed his foot further. If he stepped just a little harder, my chest might explode. No Sewa. What? Nog Songgu's foot, which was trying to kill me, lost its strength as his face hardened. How do you know that name? The reason he reacted to the name like this was simple. No Sewa was his sister. To be precise, she was the sister who disappeared about 15 years ago. Tell me. How do you know that name? No Songgu pushed me. Truth be told, I was scared out of my wits, but I couldn't just reveal all my cards immediately, right? Are you going to keep doing this? Or will you make a deal with me? You. No Songgu stared at me and lifted his foot off of my chest. But he still didn't withdraw his blade on my neck. You think this is enough for us to make a deal? I know that even enemies will take responsibility for the words they speak. The No Songu I knew was a man who was generous and faithful to his subordinates, very much unlike other blood cult members. His voice is shaking. It is his sister who he has been looking for. No Songu had judged me to be an enemy here. Yet, when I mentioned the name of the sister he had been searching for, his heart could not help but be shaken. How will you respond, Blood Wolf Squad leader? I stared him in the eyes. Soon, No Songu opened his mouth. What do you want? Do you want me to keep my mouth shut about your truth? Sure, that's something I wanted, but this was too huge an opportunity to waste. That's why I said, let's make a deal. It seems like you don't have any hope of holding on to your life. Then the leader will never be able to find his sister. In exchange for my life, this man could find his sister. In a way, that too would be the beginning of his life's misery. Clench. No Songu asked me with a grimace. What more do you want? Be my strength when I need you. Huh? Did you just ask me to become your crutch? You must really want to. Not that. It's just that if I get into trouble here, I will ask the leader for help. No Songu was soon to become a peak master. If he CPI, come to my aid, I won't be at the bottom of the pecking order anymore. Nonsense. I am not someone like that. I cannot close my eyes when you could bring harm to the sect and help. I am not going to let myself be played by you. You are only in the blood cult to pay back the debt that your father left? Right? No. How do you know this? No Songu was in shock. The only person who knew of his condition was in the highest position of the cult. Most of the blood cult simply thought that this man was just walking after his father's path, but the reality was different. Didn't you take charge as the squad leader in exchange for information about the man who killed your father? This was something I heard directly from the man. What is your fucking identity? I thought that even I would be curious in such a situation, but it was impossible to say I have returned from 10 years in the future. So I had to shift his attention. I didn't even speak of your grandfather's name, but you decided that you were caught, and this happened. When I heard that, it felt like being hit in the head with a hammer. As No Songu said, he never mentioned my grandfather's name. I simply guessed that they had done a background check on me and jumped to conclusions. Well, this is how you do things. What? Even the short sword seemed to enjoy it when I am in trouble. But when I thought back, I don't think it would have worked out anyway else. Even if my grandfather's name wasn't mentioned here, this man remembered everyone he trained with, so I couldn't possibly have fooled him. I just thought it was natural. I spoke with pride, and No Songu seemed to be in a better mood after seeing my expression. Now all that was left was to receive the plaque. The deal is done. So can I go and get my plaque? Even if I didn't want to, I had to get a middle or upper rank plaque. However, that was only possible with skilled or talented people, so if I received it, especially an upper rank plaque, people would doubt me. However, No Songu's expression seemed strange. True. Here. I am keeping my mouth shut for now, but I haven't confirmed my sister's whereabouts yet. And you are hoping for me to give you benefits already. No, this much should be fine. Funny. If you want to receive it, prove your skills. Huh. The conversation was turning again. I felt like we have been going in circles for quite some time. Kikiki. You got caught too. I thought he was a good man who didn't use his head too often, but now I was seeing new sides to him. How do I prove it? He was different from the man I knew, so I had to be certain. No Songu waved his hand at me. I heard that you have a body that cannot cultivate internal chi. I won't use chi and attack you with my bare hands. Oh. Fair play. No Songu continued with a confident voice. Really? Even if I don't use my internal chi, there will be no gap in my movements. I will give you whatever rank you want if you can hit me just once. Right. First-rate warriors don't have run-of-the-mill bodies. I was also at an overwhelming disadvantage because I had only trained physically. But can I use this dagger? Do whatever you want. What difference will having a dagger make when you don't know martial arts or have internal chi? At those words, I smiled. Hear that? Small Short Sword spoke with determination. Dagger? Hey! I am Short Sword. Take me out already. At the other side of the cave. Excluding one person, all the trainees had received their plaques. As the rest of the trainees took longer than expected, Gu Sangwon, the commander, began to get anxious. Meanwhile, Leader O's face was filled with joy. I told him to teach him right, and he must have been caught. I did say I was going to watch him. He. It was worthwhile to call for No Songgu. Instead of waiting for the person he sent to Yulon to investigate and report back, he could simply save himself the trouble by calling someone who would know the truth behind the kid's story. And it seemed like there was going to be a tragic end. Commander. If my guess is right, The commander raised his hand and signaled Leader O to be quiet. Leader O wondered why before he saw someone coming out of the cave. It was So Wonhui. What? So Wonhui, who came out of the cave, proudly lifted something up in his hand. Middle. Not a lower plaque but middle? Leader O's expression became distorted at the sight.